This story, I think, is helpful for us to talk about and relevant. It's a story of resiliency, iteration, and friendship. It's helpful for us to read stories like this so that we can relate it to ourselves, and hopefully other people can resonate with it as well. Feel good from it.
Welcome back to Fangirl Feels. My name is Olivia.
My name's Tanya.
And we are Fangirl Feels, the show where we talk about all the books, movies, shows that give us all the feelings. And today, we got a lot to talk about. We have an interesting episode today. What are we talking about today, Tanya?
Today, our topic is comfort content.
Ooh,
There'll be glitter.
comfort content. There's actually glitter on the screen right now. But first, we wanted to talk about all the feedback we got on our last episode, and we want to make sure we keep a section of our episodes in the beginning to talk about feedback, because this is no fun if we don't have anyone engaging with us. So thanks to everyone who has left us feedback, who has commented, shared, hated, even the haters. We love you so much. We appreciate it. This will be a segment we do in the beginning of the episode called Fandom Feedback, where we'll talk to you guys. We'll read out all the messages that you've left us on our Instagram, our TikTok, maybe direct messages. If you leave us a voice message, which we really do want voice messages, which there will be a link in the description wherever you're watching this or listening to this, to leave us voice messages. We want that. Please leave us voice messages. And you will be on the episode. Like, if you leave us a voice message right now, you will be on the episode, because we do not have any voice messages at the moment. So you will be there.
The biggest issue with that is that you do have to create a Spotify for Podcasters account. Like, you can't log in with your Spotify account, I don't believe, which UX issue, we get it. So sorry if you do have to create another account.
Yeah, we apologize, but that's not on us. That's Spotify's fault. So we can go riot them. But yes, please leave us some messages. So we'll start with some fandom feedback. Tanya, what is some fandom feedback we've had so far?
So we got some feedback from our episode last week where we ranked fictional boyfriends within a March Madness bracket, and the winner ended up being Aragorn, obviously. But we knocked out Aladdin pretty early on because we realized that he wouldn't be able to afford dinner with us, So our friends responded to a TikTok we made about that segment, and our friend said, Aladdin would be the first to say, "There's a hair in my soup, I'm not paying," and then make you dine and dash. Not even close. Agreed.
Agreed. I mean, that's creative. That's giving him more of a... I mean, that's making Aladdin... Well, he did steal bread. It's like, that's making Aladdin a criminal, which I guess he was one. We just gave him the respect to be like, Aladdin can't afford dinner, so
right. We agree that the city should have taken care of him, and he should not be criminalized for being houseless.
Exactly.
So, but in this episode, would we date him when he couldn't afford to take us out? Might not work out.
No, it just didn't work. And he was against the Duke from Bridgerton, who is the wealthiest man in that story. So it was just a bad... The randomizer really did him dirty there.
Bad matchup, right?
Bad matchup. Poor guy. We got a comment on our Spotify, because Spotify lets you add questions to the bottom of the podcast episode. So please leave comments there if that's easier for you. But someone responded, this user said, Jamie Fraser for the win for me. He knows some modern stuff thanks to Claire, and he also knows what menstruations are and noticed that they stopped when Claire got pregnant the second time. So I appreciate this comment. We didn't think about the fact that he did know what periods were, but this was after he met Claire, and I guess we were just taking it from the perspective of just Jamie in the beginning, because we are Claire in this. So I guess we could have taught him what periods were,
That's fair. Yeah, and I did not get that deep into that show. I stopped at season 2, so fair. Totally fair comment.
It is fair.
I get it, yeah. We decided at what point in their journey, in their timelines, we could decide to date these characters. Yeah, accept them. So that's on us.
Was this a logical / perfect science? Absolutely not. It was not.
Not at all. We're not experts. We know.
No, we're not experts. We're not experts. Yeah, I forgot about this whole thing with Claire. So yeah, I'm sure he's also older than both of us. So I would hope he would know what periods were. But in the first season, I don't think he did. So whatever. But he made it far. We put some respect on his name. He made it far. We had a commenter, Aaron Likes Reading, on Instagram, on our Fangirl Feels Instagram that we just created, who said, Grayson is invested since he was super young, though. This is in response to Grayson losing his bracket against Nick Young for who will pay for a first date. And she says, Grayson has invested since he was super young, though. He's wealthy in his own right. All of the boys are. True. Again, is this the most logical?
Did we dissect all the content? No.
No, we did not. But yes, he probably has invested. But they made it a point in the book to say that the youngest brother was the only one who really invested. Do you remember this?
They did into crypto. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure he has like financial advisors. So it's true. Again, was this a science? No, it wasn't art. But we appreciate the comments. I agree. Grayson's great. I would date Grayson. He's just not emotionally available right now.
Right. And then we got some overall feedback about our podcast in general. These are some of my friends. I don't have a lot of followers, okay? So the only people responding to me are like 5 of my friends who care about me. So some of my friends listened to the podcast and they said, Tanya, I'm laughing so hard at the end of episode 1. Episode 1 was about The Last of Us. I too am a fangirl of Pedro, and I am loving these joyous feels. Thank you, friend. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
We love talking about Pedro in all of our episodes.
He will be there every episode, a constant
Yes.
companion throughout the show.
He's the constant keeping us together. Yes.
Yes. Our friendship is just founded in Pedro Pascal.
That's it.
That's all it is. That's it. We got nothing
We have
else.
nothing else in common except for Pedro Pascal. So
That's all. That's it. All there is.
Another comment we got was halfway through episode 2 and enjoying it. If you ever have guests, I would volunteer as tribute. We've talked about this, and specifically this friend. Yeah, no, you know a lot about lots of things. You're a writer, and maybe another episode. We'll keep in touch. And then I have a friend who's currently listening to like all of the ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses books, and I mentioned to her that we kind of want to talk about that in a specific episode. Spoiler, we will. And so she said we should take callers specifically for that episode because I think lots of people have hot thoughts, just like us, hot takes. So we'll reach out to people for that one.
Yeah. Oh, A Court of Thorns and Roses will be a big episode. It is coming. We have to plan for it, but it is coming. It might be like a multi-part series, to be honest. This A Court of Thorns and Roses episode we have planned. So stay tuned for that. It will come. We appreciate all of these comments. We love them so much. Please continue to leave us comments. We will read them. They're so much fun. So please continue to leave us these comments.
And we love comments even if you agree with us. Like, we're not right most of the time. We're just guessing, just like you. So if we say something that you don't agree with, we don't mind. Let us know. We'd love to chat.
Yes.
So on TikTok, we did post about our episode from The Last of Us. And Olivia and I haven't played the games, but game players came out on our TikTok. Our TikTok is Fangirl Feels Pod. People came out and commented, and we have a couple haters, which is cool. We have haters. 4
Mom, we
episodes in.
made it.
Look at us.
Mom,
We made it.
We made it.
Somebody said, so the hot take was, Olivia, you were talking specifically in this episode that the season finale of The Last of Us was short and it didn't make sense to us. It felt rushed. The Bill and Frank episode was much longer and we just didn't understand the difference in like the pacing. And we mentioned that, and someone said, they obviously haven't played the game, bro. And we said, you called us out.
Bro, we haven't. We haven't.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. We haven't. Yep.
Yeah, we have not. It's okay.
Next comment. These HBO fans, skull face emoji. And we said, guilty.
Guilty. I like that your responses were very just like, yeah, you're right. I mean, it is. We're not pretending to be something we're not. That's like the theme of this whole of us. We're not pretending. We're not players of the game. We just like the I watched the show for Pedro Pascal. Actually, no, I didn't. I became a Pedro Pascal fan after the show, during the show.
It got people on the Pedro Pascal train, which is what should be happening. Well, should have happened years ago, so that's good. That's like a great part of that show, yeah.
But I appreciate the comments anyway. It's fair. Do not be fooled. The microphones do not make us experts. You know how like these like men on microphones? Don't be fooled.
Finance bros.
Do not be fooled by a microphone. You know, anyone can have a microphone and pretend to be an expert when they are not. So same goes to us. We are not experts. We are just two girls with a lot of feelings.
Lots of feelings.
We're having some fun. So it also, some feedback that we got from our last episode, we put a poll saying, do you agree with the winner of our fictional boyfriend March Madness, which was Aragorn? And it was contentious for a while. We actually had some people saying stop the steal. We had some rumors of voter fraud that occurred, some fraud in the system. It was rough. We had to get Congress involved. It was rough. But ultimately, people agreed that Aragorn was the winner. No notes. And if you think there was voter fraud, don't perform a January 6th attack on us.
Avoid,
please. I hope people understood the reference. I think people understood the stop the steal reference.
I hope so.
I'm going with the bit because the bit's going.
It's a funny bit, everyone.
Laugh, clap. Have you seen that TikTok sound?
No.
Oh, there's this TikTok sound where it's like, clap.
That'll be the TikTok for this episode.
Anyway.
So we're trying segments out. Look at us iterating. We both work in UX, so it makes sense. Our next segment is Fangirl Finds. We're going to talk about the things that we consumed over the past week since we recorded this content. And so I realized when I wrote this that I consume too much content and I should go outside more often because
oh no,
I was just writing all the things that I've watched, read, listened to, and also this past weekend I met up with some of my friends and they were going around the circle like talking about like different things they've watched and they're like, oh, have you guys seen Yellow Jackets? And like I was the only one that's seen it and they're like, oh, have you seen this thing Shrinking? And I'm like, yeah, I've seen. I was the only one raising my hand for each thing. I watch too many shows. My initials are TV, Olivia. I feel like that is purposeful.
It's destiny. It was destiny. Your parents knew. They were like, I crown you in TV.
I watch too much stuff. So yeah, I won't go through the whole list. It is long, but I'll talk about the things that I really liked watching and listening to this past weekend. So I watched the new Dungeons and Dragons movie with Chris Pine, Hugh Grant, and like other big names, but it was very good. It was very funny. Like people, even if you're not into Dungeons and Dragons, you should see it. Yes, I was not. I know you're not like a huge movie like watcher, but this was worth going to. You should definitely go.
Okay. I actually I've seen people being so skeptical about this film that because I listened to some other podcasts like the Ringerverse and people who are just like I got the perspective or got the like feeling that this was not going to be a good movie. So to hear that it was, it's just surprising. I don't know. I have no preconceived. I mean, I guess I do have a preconceived notion. I don't have like any reason to dislike it. This is just what I heard. So it's interesting that it was like above expectations, it sounds like. So that's good.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I didn't look into it at all. So that's really interesting that some people are going into it kind of with some skepticism, which is fair, right? Like they're taking a game and making it a movie, which adaptations, as we've talked about, don't always make sense.
They don't add up. Yeah, they don't always like work very well. Yeah, so I just got the impression that this wouldn't be a good movie. So that's good that it was.
Yeah, that was fun. And then I watched Tetris, which is a movie. Movies or a series? I can't remember. We were just watching it back to back. Watched it all in one night on Friday. It's about like the history of Tetris, and it has Taron Egerton in it, which is hottie patati. We should have added him to the bracket. But he's like a buff Tom Holland, by the way. Very attractive.
Whoa.
Yes.
That's a good way to describe him.
Google him right now. Anyways, it's about like the history of Tetris and how it was formed in Russia and how like a businessman in like the 80s or 90s had to go get it out of Russia for it to spread globally. And there's just a lot of drama that people didn't know about. It's really good. Have you heard about it?
No, I have not.
I'm on TV too much, but it's on Apple TV. Very good.
Oh, interesting. Apple TV is one of the many subscription services I only buy when I have a particular show. Like I don't have Apple TV on most days, most months.
On most days.
On most days. Throughout the year. I only just recently got it. I think I'm sharing it with my sister for Ted Lasso.
Yeah. There's too many, right? Subscriptions. Too many.
Yeah. It's too much.
Speaking of subscriptions, I keep up with like the shows that are releasing every week. So like I watch Mando every week, Mandalorian, Abbott Elementary, I believe is continuing to drop episodes. And then Yellow Jackets, very good. And Love is Blind, obviously. I guess I'm just going to read everything that I watch, but I also watch Paddington 2, a very good movie, better than Paddington 1.
What? I haven't watched any of the Paddingtons. So that's surprising that Paddington 2 would be better than Paddington 1.
Yeah. It has Hugh Grant in it, and he's phenomenal in it. You should. I see that you have homework now.
I have a lot of homework. We have very different content consumption styles. I have breaks between consuming content. I can't watch like 100 things at once. But I commend you for being able to watch so much. Good for you.
Should I bring this up to a therapist? Yeah, probably. So no, it's fine.
No, if you're enjoying it, I see no issues. I just like, I don't know, it's like an emotional wall for me where I'm like, I'm still in mourning. I cannot move on. I'm grieving previous things I've watched. So I just like can't watch a lot otherwise. It's weird.
I get that. I don't think it's weird. Yeah, you're still thinking about the thing that you consumed. You need time to process versus I view it as like rebounding. I'm like rebounding. I need to fill the void to feel better, but I haven't fully recovered from the thing that I watched or read.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's like it's like a way that we like handle breakups, I guess, or something too. It's just like someone moves on and like rebounds. I am like gonna take years from a breakup or something like that. So like I said, I am a pretty slow content consumer. So I'm still dealing with the Last of Us hangover. I have not fully recovered from that yet. But in honor of Pedro Pascal's birthday, I started watching The Mandalorian this week. I actually just started on Sunday, which I think was his actual birthday. I've been meaning to watch the show I actually started it 2 years ago. Not because of Pedro Pascal. Again, I wasn't a big fan of his until recently. And I could not get past that first episode. It took me 2 years to watch episode 1. I don't know why. Star Wars is just not nostalgic to me. It's not the biggest Star Wars fan. So those aliens, man, they just got me. But I finally pushed through it, and now I'm on episode 6. So we really went through. We're almost through season 1. I think I actually am on season 2 now. I don't remember. But
Olivia's behind. Like the world went through its obsession with baby Grogu, baby Yoda, Grogu, and Olivia's just now sending me like TikToks about Grogu, and I'm like, yes, so adorable. I'm glad you're here. Yes.
I'm 2 years late with this. And because I'm so consumed in pop culture, like I saw all the Grogu memes, I saw them all, but like now I'm catching up. I didn't realize, the TikTok trend where it's like, I would like to see the baby.
Yes.
Yes. I didn't realize that was from like The Mandalorian.
Oh my gosh.
That I didn't know. So now I'm like hearing the music and I'm like, this isn't like TikTok meme music. This is real music.
Yeah, because people did it with like their cats. I would like to see the baby.
I would like to see the baby. Like, oh, this is real. Okay.
Oh, I love that. I love that for you. This is such a great experience.
Thank you.
I wish I could view it again with your eyes. Yeah.
Yes, he's so cute. I'm like, I get it. Baby Yoda is adorable. I don't technically know that his name is Grogu yet. I haven't gotten to that point. And I'm like, every time he comes on, I'm like, he's so cute. He's adorable. But that's mainly the main thing I watched this weekend. I didn't watch anything else. And Love is Blind. I caught up on Love is Blind on Friday. I am embarrassed by how fast I go through those because they're so mindless. I will also just like be drawing or eating dinner and watch that. And I got through this new set of episodes. And
yeah, you don't need to pay attention intensely with those. You can just I'll have them on like when I'm washing dishes or I'm doing something else, as everyone should. Do not commit your full brain to these episodes.
No, your brain needs to be like 2% on while that is on. It's true. Yeah, I think I like cleaned the kitchen while I watched it. And you just feel bad while you watch it. You're like, this is all terrible, but I'm also up to date. It's embarrassing that I'm up to date.
I'm sure you saw they're doing something new, probably to extend people's Netflix subscriptions, but they're releasing the next ones in small batch. Like next week, this Friday is not the last drop. It's 2 weeks from now. And before, I swear they just did it twice. First, I think they dropped them all, then half, and then now they're splitting it up. And which is like, why? I don't want to know about these people's lives for that long. Please stop.
No. They should have done that for Shadow and Bone. Do that for like the shows you actually care about. Don't do that. I mean, I guess they care about Love is Blind, but Love is Blind, like just tell me what happens. This is stupid. I just want to know. I can already guess which couples are together, which couples aren't. That's all I've been watching.
All right. So now we're going to talk about the topic of our episode today. So we wanted to get together and talk about comfort content. So comfort content is content that makes you feel happy and hopeful and alive. It's different than guilty pleasures. Like, so we just talked about Love is Blind. I'd consider that a guilty pleasure. It's not really for like all age groups, and it doesn't always make you feel the best, but it's mindless. Comfort content does make you feel good. Like, that's the purpose of these shows and content in general, not just shows. So we'll be covering our favorite comfort content, but the first one we are going to talk about today is Ted Lasso.
We all love Ted Lasso. What a joy from the pandemic that came up, sprouted.
Yes. And actually, fun segue, it actually started 20 years previous to 2020. Did you know that?
That's wild. No, I did not know that at all. That's crazy.
I didn't either. And I had seen, so there were commercials that probably some people have seen. They kind of went viral, of Jason Sudeikis acting like Ted Lasso, a different Ted Lasso, before he became like the wholesome character that he is. And I saw that, and I didn't know that even before that, like a decade previous, they were working on the Ted Lasso concept. We'd like to take a second to break down the history of Ted Lasso, because I think that a lot of people haven't heard of how it was concepted and created. And so I was trying to find an article that had like a good timeline, and I actually found this person on Twitter called Joe Pompliano gave a great breakdown of the history of Ted Lasso in a Twitter thread. This story, I think, is like helpful for us to talk about and relevant. It's a story of resiliency, iteration, and friendship. And as Olivia and I are working for ourselves and creating these businesses together, it's helpful for us to read stories like this so that we can relate it to ourselves, and hopefully other people can resonate with it as well, feel good from it. It all started in 2001. Brendan Hunt, the character who plays Beard, was living in Amsterdam and working for an improv comedy club called Boom Chicago at the time in Amsterdam. He fell in love with football culture. If anyone's ever been to Europe, or no, not even Europe, like I think globally elsewhere outside of the US, soccer, we call it soccer in the US, football is a big deal. And so he fell in love with the culture while he was there. You're into football, right? A little bit?
Yes. I mean, soccer is like you said, like you're coming from an Egyptian household. Soccer's like an institution. It's like a religion. My dad, if you talk to him on like a Saturday morning when there's a soccer game, like you will get attacked. No, it's not attacking me. That's not what I'm saying. If it's game day, like he is busy. It is like that's what he's doing today. And if the team loses, then yeah, you gotta like, it's just like the household is sad. Everything is dark and gloomy out, you know. It's just very important to Egyptian households. So yes, I understand this.
Well, so he became immersed in that culture. Growing up in America, he was probably into football here, but yeah, he became obsessed with football in Amsterdam. So Jason Sudeikis, who plays Ted Lasso, he also was on SNL for many years, eventually came to the same comedy club in Amsterdam as Brendan, who's Beard, and they're best friends previous to him coming there. Hunt would talk about football a lot, but Jason had very little knowledge of football, so he's trying to learn. And the way that he tried to learn about football was they played FIFA together. And while they would play FIFA together, Hunt would make comparisons to American football so that Jason could learn.
I wonder what version of FIFA they played, like on like the PlayStation or something, or like, because I used to play FIFA.
Yeah, specifically the thread said PlayStation.
Oh, nice. I said PlayStation and I was like, I don't even know if FIFA's on PlayStation, but turns out it is.
No clue.
That's funny.
During one of their FIFA sessions with another member of the improv group, his name's Joe Kelly, they all came up with the character Ted Lasso. But the Ted Lasso that they came up with was different than the one we know now. The premise of the show they created was similar. He was an American football coach hired to teach English football with no knowledge about the sport. But the character they created was not as nuanced, well-rounded as the Ted we know. He was simple, hot-headed, and I think kind of portrayed toxic masculinity in sports, toxic masculinity fandoms of like American football.
Oh, that's sad. How do we do? Is there like showcases of like what that character was like back then?
It's similar to the
Okay.
character that NBC paid Sudeikis to portray in the commercials.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see.
So they had this character, kind of forming in their heads, and literally a decade later, in 2013, NBC paid for the rights to broadcast the Premier League on their channel. They asked Jason Sudeikis, who at this time was an SNL star, pretty famous, pretty well known. They asked him to create some promo for football being shown and broadcasted in the US, and the commercials were a success. You can find these on YouTube. They had millions of views instantly, and that kind of led to like a fandom, like a cult following for this commercial, Ted Lasso, who wasn't, in a show yet.
Was he named Ted Lasso at this point, or just like a character? Did he have a name?
Yeah, it was Ted Lasso. It was still Ted Lasso, but just different.
Oh,
his like alter ego.
nice. Oh, that's cool.
That's it, skip. Skip like little girls. Go not a care in the world. I'm lucky to be doing this for a living.
That's funny. I've seen those commercials. They were really funny.
They're still funny. Yeah, you can tell like where he was going. And Jason Sudeikis, like, I swear, every character he's ever been portraying on SNL just yells a lot because he's good at it.
Yeah, it's true. But it's such a clever idea because, like, especially at that time, soccer was just not very big in the US. So, like, trying to find a way to connect with like an American audience, like, very smart use of that character. It was good.
Genius. Yeah, give that person a raise. They probably got a raise. This is in 2013. So from there, Jason Sudeikis, Hunt, and Kelly wrote a script for Ted Lasso in 2015 because they saw how well received that character was. But no one wanted it. No networks wanted it. They did a bunch of pitches, a bunch of meetings, and it was crazy because, Jason, again, is a big SNL star, so you would think people would be into it.
It's like, that's so interesting, especially if the commercials were so successful. Why would they not pursue that? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I think it was because, and I didn't get this detail from the thread, but I think when they were pitching it, the concept was a little different from what we know now. Like, I wonder if they still had like the toxic Ted Lasso, because things took a turn when Bill Lawrence, who's the creator of Scrubs, he joined their team as a TV producer in 2017. And that's when like their pitch, I assume, changed because he wanted to turn the idea. And I think this is gold. I think this is what led to the impact it has now. He said that the show should be a workplace ensemble comedy and not a football show, which can be more relatable to more people.
That makes sense. That's actually so smart. And I love Scrubs. Scrubs is I am not a doctor. Yeah, I'm not a doctor, but I love Scrubs. I one of my favorite shows. So it sounds like he did a similar thing. Like, how do you take a inaccessible concept to a lot of people, like he did with Scrubs, with soccer, and make it accessible? That's so smart. Wow, these people get paid the big bucks for a reason.
A reason, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about this because Olivia and I have been friends for has it been almost a decade now? Isn't that scary? Almost
it's a little scary.
8 years. Crazy. The body regenerates its cells every 7 years, so we are literally different people than when we first met.
Oh my god.
On like a cellular level. Isn't that gross?
That's kind of gross. That's upsetting. We are different.
I hate it.
I hate it so much. And the friendship ended in this moment.
When Olivia realized.
It's like, I'm a different person. I can't be here anymore. I gotta leave. It's over.
But what I was going to say was when we first talked about the show in 2020, I remember you and I weren't into it because we thought it was about football. Like, I didn't know it was about like a comedy until we watched it and learned it was wholesome. Do you remember that?
Yes, I didn't give it a chance. I just didn't think anything of it. I think it was my friend, or it was my cousin. You told me about it, and I think like in our friend group, and I was like, I'll watch it maybe later. And then my cousin, I was like visiting her, and she's like, we should watch Ted Lasso. And I'm like, okay, if you say so. And then like 2 hours later, we're sobbing on the couch. And I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. It's so cute.
So they changed the concept, the pitch. They also gave Ted more depth. They shifted the tone of the character from the bumbling, clueless coach that we saw in those commercials to someone who's more competent and skilled and empathetic. He's more thoughtful. He uses his positive attitude and folksy charm to inspire his team, but he also has his personal struggles that we see in the show. He struggled at first to talk about his mental health, which is a big aspect of his character as well. Someone who's outwardly positive, but is hiding the pain that he's dealing with every day.
He's just a very well-rounded character, and that like his empathy and his kindness is coming from his own experience. Like I know later on in season 2, you know about his father, I believe, and that explains like why he has the attitude that he has. And it's just, yeah, he's a well-rounded character. They did a good job with him. He's very sweet. Sad.
Yeah, we like the change. Yeah, it's definitely like resonated with people who aren't into football.
Yeah, and I like soccer too, but I just was not even I'm not interested in necessarily watching a show about soccer. It wasn't like on the top of my mind, but then actually watching it, it is like a feel good show. Like you just feel better about life having watched it. I do think part of it was like a perfect storm of things where it's just a better concept over these years, and then also the time when it came out when everyone is just kind of like everything sucks, lots of just the pandemic was hard for everyone in different ways. So to have something that just was like a feel good, no guilt show was a nice change. And I know because I spent a lot of the pandemic with my parents and we were like trapped alone, having something to watch with them and not feel like they couldn't watch it because my parents are very conservative, or they're just like, they don't like certain things. Like they're not going to watch The Last of Us with me, right? Like that's not going to happen. But they're going to watch Ted Lasso. So it was also just like a good family connector where we could all enjoy it together. Family friendly show.
Yeah, like with family together, that's a good point. That like people were literally together at home due to the pandemic, and I did wonder, would the show have done as well if it didn't drop during the pandemic? Who knows? I think it still would have been well received, but I do think a lot of its success can be attributed to the timing and when we were all looking for that feel good content that made us happy and hopeful.
Hey, Jamie, what would you rather be, a lion or a panda?
Coach, I'm me. Why would I want to be anything else?
I'm not sure you realize how psychologically healthy that actually is.
I think that's so interesting, like you explaining this entire timeline about how it developed and then they tried to sell it in 2015. It's almost like it was waiting for the pandemic. Like it had to come out during that time. It wasn't going to come out earlier. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So more ending of the story is like they tested it out. They signed with Apple TV, and season 1 premiered in August 2020. When we were all deep into the pandemic, ended up being a massive success that we know today. And yeah, I just think it's a great story of resiliency, keeping with it, the timing of an idea that you might have. It might not be the right time, but if you keep working on it, keep iterating, keep improving, get your friends together, right? Like there's a concept, like I think that's prevalent in the US, that you need to do things on your own, pull yourselves up from your bootstraps. But Jason created this idea with his friends, right? And I've seen benefit with working with my friends, Olivia, and then like I have had friends that I've worked on other ideas with, and it's totally helped that idea flourish, and push it forward. So I think hopefully this idea resonates with other people and makes you feel good about pursuing your ideas and keeping with it. It might just not be your time, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's so sweet. It doesn't mean that the idea is bad or anything. It just it might not be the right time. There's a better time where the world is more open to it. This is the second time I've actually heard this message this week. I was watching another video from a YouTuber, and he said the exact same thing, where he was like, sometimes a story, it doesn't mean your story is bad. It just, maybe it's just not the right time for it. And it's okay to shelve it or to just like keep working at it until it is the time, and you just don't know when that might be. So that's interesting. Like sometimes it's just not the right time.
Like the biggest issue with launching businesses is there needs to be a gap in the market, and that might not be the time for your idea, right? Like that it could be a good idea, but depending on it doesn't need to be a pandemic, but it could be another time that it might get the traction that it deserves.
It deserves, yeah. This was like in this YouTuber. Do you know who Olin Rogers is? Have you heard of Olin Rogers?
No.
No, he's a YouTuber. He used to do like skits on YouTube, and he sold animated stories to networks. So he doesn't go on YouTube very often, but he has this new YouTube series where he talks about selling his work, that process. And he was saying so for example, there's trends in storytelling. Like we were in a very big superhero trend, like Marvel, DC, fantasy, like vampires were a big trend for a while. So it's like sometimes it's just like it's just not the right time for your story yet because things just like cycle. So like maybe you have a vampire novel that you want to write, but we're right now in the like superhero story world. Like doesn't mean don't write it, but it's just like maybe the world's not receptive to it yet, but it will come back around. These things have cycles, so it's okay to keep working on something when the world is ready for it.
This reminded me of Issa Rae. I don't know if you heard of her story, but like before HBO bought Insecure, she pitched it to HBO. She had already created like the full Insecure series on YouTube. She was a YouTuber, and it was actually very funny. I've seen both Insecure and the YouTube series, but it's funny, like they just kept going regardless of them knowing if it'll be bought by a major network at some point.
Yeah. So you just gotta like believe in it has value in itself, and just keep working on it, and then at some point it may be its moment. It may eventually come around. It might not, but it may come around. Like its moment will come.
All right, everyone. So that was our episode about feel-good, comforting content. So if you liked what you heard, if you want to hear more, if you have ideas of new topics, leave a message or comment on the Spotify page. I realize that you can only do so on your phone. I don't think you can do it on the app on your laptop. So we often have polls about the content, and we love to hear from you about what your thoughts are. Follow us on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. On TikTok, we're Fangirl Feels Pod. On Instagram, same name. And then on YouTube, we're under Olivia's account, VVIVAA. Viva.
Thank you for remembering that. That's a tough one. VVIVAA.
I've had to memorize it.
I'm sure. I have regrets. Like I've said, I have regrets.
Thanks for listening. See you later.
Yes, thank you so much. Like, subscribe, leave us a review.
Comment, like, subscribe.
Follow. Comment, like, subscribe. Bye.